On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 8 Pfeffernusse. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bakes by Vasco. I'm Michelle with 1L, and I'm glad you're here. Well, we are already on day 8 of our Christmas cookies, and I am really excited about this one because it's a cookie that I have wanted to make my whole life. Pfeffernusse was my grandmother's favorite cookie for as long as I could remember, and it became one of mine. So today we're going to use my Better Homes and Gardens cookie book, and we're going to flip to the page 60 here, and we're going to make Pfeffernusse for the first time together. Now what you're going to need, obviously I didn't memorize this, so what you're going to need for today's bake is 1/3 cup molasses, 1/4 cup of butter, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of brown sugar packed, 3/4 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 beaten egg. Now, let's get started. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is take a large saucepan and combine our molasses and our butter and heat it, stirring it over low heat until the butter melts. Then we'll cool that to room temperature. So we'll take our molasses, and this is my favorite brand. It's Grandma's because they support elephants. And the butter. And try to remember which way my stove goes. Turn it on low. Then we just get the fun part of stirring and melting. All right, everybody, our butter has melted. Now it's time to take this pot off of the heat and let it cool to room temperature before we add the beaten egg. All right, while our molasses and butter mixture is cooling to room temperature, let's go ahead and in a large bowl, mix together our flour, brown sugar, cinnamon, baking soda, cardamom, allspice, and pepper. Just whisk that together so it's mixed. No streaks, no lumps. And then you're just going to set that aside until it's time to add it. Let's go ahead and beat our egg so it's ready when the mix is room temperature. I once watched a baking competition and the woman was afraid to touch eggs. There's not a whole lot that's egg-free, so. All right. And now we just kind of wait. Okay, everybody, our molasses and butter mixture has cooled to room temperature, so we're going to add our beaten egg to that and stir it in. Now we're going to add our dry ingredients. And then just mix that all together. You want all of your flour incorporated into this because this is going to be a rolled out dough. In my opinion, I think you should add your wet to your dry ingredients because this takes forever. Now, we can transfer this to a bowl. This is my first time doing this, and obviously I know by previous experience how cookie dough should feel. Mixing it with a spoon or a rubber spatula wasn't getting it. I need to get in there with my hands and wring that molasses into the flour mixture so that you can roll it out into ropes. So just don't be afraid to get in there with your hands and just squeeze it and break it up and squeeze it some more. And now you have a dough you can work with after it chills for 1 hour. All right, everybody, an hour has passed and our dough is chilled. We are going to lightly flour our surface here. And then we're going to dump this out. Now, I am going to warn you now, this dough, it says makes 240 cookies. That is 20 dozen. That's a lot of cookies. We're obviously not going to make all of them on camera, but you're going to want to dump your dough out, and then it says to roll it out. And I have always been told that the easiest way to roll dough is to put it between parchment paper. So we're going to put it all together in a lump here. It is flying everywhere. It's a little crumbly, but once it gets a little bit warmer from my hands, it'll work a little bit better. So we got some parchment here. Move all my crumbs over, lay it down. Not going to worry about all these crumbs here because 240 cookies is a lot. Put another piece of parchment on the top here. Did I make any more noise? My goodness. All right, I have my dough between two pieces of very loud, crinkly parchment paper and my very old rolling pin that belonged to my husband's grandmother. And we're going to roll this out so that we can then roll it into ropes. So this just takes a lot of arm power, elbow grease, because it's chilled. Okay. That's just in my way. This dough isn't sticky enough to stick to your rolling pin if you lightly floured your surface. This works much better. It says to divide this dough into 12 portions. I don't know that that's going to work. I think I'm just going to start making nuggets and see where this takes us. But I do have to tell you a story while I'm rolling this out. Oven's ready. 350 degrees. When I was working at a bakery in Wisconsin, I worked with the mayor's wife, and we had a 12 dozen Sheboygan order roll come in that needed to be sliced and boxed. And she said, "How many boxes do you need?" as I'm slicing these endless Sheboygan rolls. And I said, "You need 12. She's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yes, 12 times 12 is 144. We need 12 dozen. The woman did the math 3 times on the calculator, 3 times in my head, and 3 times by writing it down on paper, and never did get it figured out. But 12 times 12 is 144. That's the fun part of new recipes, is you just never know where it's going to take you. And I'm really glad that you guys are hanging out with me while we try this for the first time together. Don't forget to hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, be sure to become a subscriber. Help me grow my channel because it really means a lot to me. All right, our pepper nuts dough is as flat as it's going to get. I don't know what they mean about rolling it into 12 portions and sectioning it out because I am spastic and my ADD is in charge today. Thank you for putting up with me. We are going to try to cut these into ropes and see if we can get these to look less like something the rabbits might have left you and more like something you want to eat. I'll take my little cutter here and just cut straight across. Move that out of the way. Do another one, about the same. Move the crumbly bits off to the side. Because the thing about rolled out dough is you can roll it and roll it and roll it. All right, now I'll take one of these. And if it breaks off, just let it break off and work with what you've got. Now that looks more like a rope. So what you just get it warm between your hands. It'll work much better when it's not fresh out of the fridge. Now I'll just take these. And rather than make them into balls, we'll just make them into logs. All right, since this has now become an experiment, I have some tiny little cookie cutters here, and we're going to try and make some shapes as well as the little nuggets and see what comes out better, because I'm honestly telling you, these are looking like turds. They taste great, but you want them to be visually appealing as well. You got a snowflake here, push it out carefully, and place it on your baking pan. We'll place those along with our nuggets, and we'll get those in the oven here soon. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get these in the oven because with as thin as these are, I'm going to need an experiment to see how long it's going to take to bake. One of them is going to bake a lot quicker. Can you guess which one? All right, I would give your nuggets 10 minutes, but we're going to check our cutouts at 7. So we'll set the oven timer for 7 minutes. Okay, our timer went off at 7 minutes, and I checked them. And the ones we used for the with the cookie cutters are ready to come out because the edges are set and the bottoms are just lightly brown. So we're just gonna atomic asbestos fingers those off the tray onto the cooling rack. This is not cool in any way. And then we're going to put these back for another 2 minutes. I don't know if you can see these, but we got our little shapes here. And what we're going to do while they're still warm is we're going to toss them into powdered sugar. And just take your hands and just completely coat them. And then we'll put them back out to cool. All right, the timer has gone off for our nuggies. They're ready to come out of the oven. And we're going to put the next tray in. And this one we're going to let go for the full 10 minutes on their own. And these, I'm just going to drop right into the powdered sugar, hot out of the oven. And just shake them up. And I'm sorry, Better Homes and Gardens, your recipe is wrong. Unless I made these the size of a dime, you can't get 240 cookies out of this batch. Once again, everybody, I'm Michelle with 1L, and this is Bakes by Vasco, and I am so glad you hung out with me today to make our 8-day Christmas cookie of Pfeffernusse. If you have been following along, you might notice I have a new setup. My husband loves me very much, and I have a new prep table in which to do many more things in the coming new year. So, once again, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. To the 470 of you that already do, you rock. Thank you so much. But now, let's get to the best part. As with any bake, is the eating. I've already had one, and I know that this tastes like a memory. It's warm and spicy and sweet and just perfect. And the little bite-sized pieces are great to go. See you next time.